nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Hello and welcome to the Managing Madrid Podcast. I'm your host, Kiyan Sobhani. In a moment, Leah Revelle will be joining me, and I promise you I did send her the link in advance, so it's not on me if she doesn't join, but I think she will. What a game, I guess. This is one way of putting it. Eventful, even though I thought it was a pretty boring second half. Real Madrid had 3 goals disallowed. So update this to the Churros y Tactica spreadsheet as you will. And it's very rare that happens. I'd have to look at, someone has to go through history to see when was the last time that happened. For some reason, I feel like that's happened to us, like in the past couple of years, but I could be misremembering. But certainly, it's not a very common thing. And yes, Cactus, I kind of did lose my voice because I've been playing a lot of soccer games in the league, footy games in the league, and I've been very vocal in those games, and I do a lot of screaming. So welcome, guys. And that reminds me, if you have any super chats, drop them in. We'll try to take them as we go. And I would say one of the things that I enjoyed from this game was that I thought we started pretty well with purpose. And I thought we took advantage of Mallorca's 5-3-2 mid-block. And the way I saw the game unfolding and the way Mallorca was set up and not in a deep low block that I anticipated they would set up in, I was like, this really suits us. I like the amount of space that we have. I thought right off the bat, our press was pretty good. We were picking up passes. In particular, Trent Alexander on that right side had a really solid game. This was probably Trent's best game. And we had a couple, at least 2 interceptions that he had off of the collective press. And he set up these nice through passes, and he set up some good crosses. His overloads were good. Obviously had a big defensive intervention in the second half. And I would say I was really impressed with our fullbacks in general, which is not something we got to say last season. Carreras so composed on the ball, really good in tight spaces, always moving into the right zones, making these underloads, these overloads, always trying to drag people away from Vinicius, which is always helpful. An incredible flying goal line clearance, which that whole second half flurry, like that span was really crazy because in the span of like 5 minutes, we had Trent's crucial intervention. We had Carreras flying through for that goal line clearance. And there was someone else too. I want to say it was Tchouaméni, but there was someone else too who had a big defensive intervention. But I think one of the themes from these first 3 games has been we've had trouble closing games like really strongly. And I think it's a combination of match fitness. I think the team is still trying to get into match fitness. And normally you would say, okay, 3 games in, like it should slowly be coming by now. Look, I think it also that's half of it. The other half of it is that the team is still trying to build up its pressing endurance. There is a lot of energy that gets drained in the first half, the way that Real Madrid tried to take control, try to press, try to take an early goal or two, that they exert a lot of energy in the first half. In the second half, they look a little bit leg heavy and sluggish. And I want to say, I think I like this approach all in all, despite the second halves being kind of, I mean, in today's case, a little bit uncomfortable and boring. And Mallorca actually found their way through our midfield and defense too easy, if you ask me. We shouldn't need these last-second defensive interventions. Obviously, we do need those heroic moments, but it was too easy for Mallorca to carve through when we looked tired. The process is this. And look, if you get one of those goals or 2 of those goals, this is a different conversation, right? Because the goal is to exert your influence from the first minute and take up a sizable lead at halftime. That's the goal of this whole process. You want to impose your will. You want to bring high energy. You want to take the game to your opponent. You don't want to be reactive to your opponent and sit back and let them get momentum and get confidence. No, the purpose is to instill your will, to press high, to create turnovers. I saw a stat before this game that all of the goals we've scored this season before this game were off of turnovers. And we caused a lot of turnovers in the first half today. So the process is sound. The Güler to Mbappe goal. Look, that one, it ripped my heart out that it was disallowed because of my agenda with Güler leading the league in assists and Mbappe, being the Pichichi. But despite it being disallowed, I will say, like, it was a great pass and what a finish from Mbappe. Like, I was amazed with the confidence he hit that, because it was not an easy finish. Like, he was through on goal, but his touch and then the shot from that angle to steer it into the near post, like almost in the side netting, was really impressive. Turns out you bring in, I mean, this one I can share because it's not in-game footage, so I'm allowed to share it. Lucas posted on his Twitter. Where is it? I'm sharing with you guys the screenshot of Mbappe's offside, which, I mean, I really am not even entirely sure what to say, but here it is, guys. If you're on YouTube right now, you can have a look. It's like not even his head. It's like the vein on his temple. So look, I mean, I don't even know how to argue against it. I feel like it would be just like biased and blind to sit here and say like that was not offside, because mathematically speaking, like, this is why we have these technologies and these machines to eliminate human error. So I'm not going to sit here and revolt against it. What I will say is, like, I've always kind of like been on the fence with this, but I think, like, maybe you could look at doing something with the offside goal where it's just lower body. If your lower body is onside, then you're clear. You're in the clear. It would eliminate moments like this. But again, I don't want to literally sit here and say like it should have been onside, because technically by the rules it wasn't. The Güler handball thing, this is very similar to the case of, who was it? Was it Balde in the Barca, I want to say Levante game, but I can't remember. I think in those situations where the player cannot do anything about their hand positioning other than cut off their arm, like, really quickly before the ball hits it, they shouldn't be penalized for it. This one, the handball rule has always been so open to interpretation. It is the only rule in football that is open to interpretation, and you have to, like, put every context behind it. You have to assess whether it was intentional or not. Was it, away from his body? Was it tucked in towards his body? And I think I had proposed a rule change with this. Much like in the NBA, when the ball hits your foot, the play stops, right? It doesn't matter if it was intentional or not, that it was a kick ball. If there's a kick ball, you stop. I think in football, in situations like this, you either have to call everything a handball, or if it's like close to your body and there's nothing you can do about it, there has to be some leeway. Or I don't know, maybe it's, in this case it was the attacking player, so it's a little bit different. If it's a defensive player, I think you could look at maybe doing an indirect free kick in that situation. But it's an offensive player, so it's a little bit different to have that rule. I don't know. I think all in all, like, I'm generally, like, I'd rather not talk about the referee too much this game, because I think far more interesting is kind of the way Real Madrid set up. The reason I even got into the referee discussion is because I think my point overall was that the way that Real Madrid exerted themselves offensively and they pressed in the first half, and they played pretty well up until the Muriqi goal, it was with a purpose, and they could have gone up easily 2-0 in that time frame, which would have changed the complexion of the game. we got the W. That's all that matters. And the other thing that matters is that Leah Revelle is here now. Leah, welcome. How you doing? Muted.
That's
Muted.
awkward. Good. I'm like a new person. Who am I? Who's this new co-host?
New look, Leah Revelle.
That's right.
New hair color.
I joined
Love
at the
it.
best time because I actually didn't hear everything that you were saying, but I agree.
Okay. Well, here's what we're gonna do. Okay, we're gonna take 2 super chats, and then we're going to discuss the game. So the first super chat is from Anthony Tharp, who says Alvaro, Felipe, Luis, Carreras.
Period.
I don't know where the comparison came from, but Matt wrote an article for Managing Madrid, and he said that the Felipe Luis comparisons are fair, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a comparison until now. But
So we've moved away from Lucas Vazquez then, is what you're saying.
Lucas Vazquez for aesthetics,
Yeah.
Felipe Luis for, I guess, the
Not like
two-way
you.
wing-back style. Jacel12 says, what do you think about Güler's role in the team this season? Do you guys think he'll be a starter even when Bellingham's back? And how do you see the 11?
It stresses me out actually to think about because I don't know. If someone is getting dropped for Jude. Jude's not going to be on the bench, so.
Well, here's the way I look at it. Aside from, the obvious, which is Xabi Alonso will rotate, etc. If everybody's healthy, I think Tchouameni's not getting dropped. Bellingham's not getting dropped. Mbappe's not getting dropped. Vini's probably not getting dropped. I think it really comes down to 2 positions. One is the right wing, like Mastantuono Brahim role, and the other one is Güler. I think Güler starts because of the specific profile that he has in the squad, which is not quite the Jude role. Because Xabi has, said this during the Club World Cup. He wants Jude to move between the lines ahead. He wants Güler to drop back in between, close to where Tchouameni is. And so I think if I had to guess, and I could be wrong, it's so far away still. Bellingham's going to come back around October, end of October. I think we're going to see one of the Mastantuono Brahim right wing combinations dropped. And then we'll just go, basically, we'll see what we saw in the Club World Cup. Except instead of Gonzalo Garcia, we'll see Vini and Mbappe up top, is my guess.
I would say that's probably why there's been a lot of rotation on the right-hand side as well. And that also makes the most sense because Artist's form is too high and will only, his ceiling is so high that he'll just get better in that role, and Xabi Alonso loves him. So that would be the only, plausible option of someone potentially getting dropped, and I really don't think it'll be him. So I think you're right.
Just to go back to discussing Güler, I thought he had a shaky start. I thought around the 30-minute mark, he picked it up really well. Started to move better, pass with more verticality, and get into good positions. Pounced on the goal, pounced on the disallowed goal. I think if I had to go the overall theme of the game, Leah, this would be kind of the chronological roller coaster. We started with a lot of energy, pressed well. Trent nearly set up Mbappe twice. Was dangerous with his overloads. Mbappe scores the offside goal disallowed. Vini looks great. He's playing with bounce, dribbling with purpose, playing some really beautiful passes into the left half space, into the box to players like Carreras and Güler who are making those runs. And then Muriqi scores in the most predictable way possible, which is Mallorca have one threat really, and it's Muriqi on set pieces. And Tchouameni is marking him, and I'm not too harsh on Tchouameni in that situation. I think the commentators were really, really harsh on Tchouameni. I think Tchouameni basically got screened out of that play. He was trying to track him, but there was just so many bodies in his way that he just couldn't catch Muriqi all the way through. And then the period that Mallorca scored, the minutes immediately preceding that, the team looked shaky. Mallorca were slicing through a little bit too easily. And then what happens is that we get back on track. We have those 2 goals in close proximity to each other. So we have, was Vini the first one? Are you playing with your baby right now?
I actually
Focus.
have a whole
Oh, okay.
watch
That's the whole
party
thing.
today.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll keep that. That's okay. We don't need to see that, I guess. I thought it was like a cute little puppy or something.
There is a
Um,
baby doing high fives on the other side of the couch, but
got it.
it's a
Okay.
long couch.
Those poor people on the couch were like, now they all of a sudden they were not expecting to be
They
broadcasted towards
weren't.
like
They were like,
10,000
"Oh my
people.
god." Yeah, we had a
Um,
watch party for the match today, so
so Güler scores first, then it's Vini. This happens within 1 minute essentially. The
yeah.
game gets flipped. We go into halftime feeling pretty good. What did you have as your 5 talking points today? I think you probably had more, but what were your top 5?
Well, besides the scandalous refereeing, I know you already discussed that, so we won't get into that. I guess we'll start with Arda. Arda was one of my points. I agree with you. I think that his consistency was off and on in terms of like when he was really on and then when he kind of was a little bit quieter. But overall, I just think what we've seen from him this game, the last game, he is obviously a very important part of Xavi's system. And I think just the way that he links up with everyone, Mbappe specifically, he's just always looking for. Sorry. He's always looking for someone. He's always looking for a pass. He's always just trying to create something. And I think that he'll be a really, I think you're right in your prediction that he'll be our top assister, maybe top assister in Europe. Who knows? But yeah, I just love what I've seen from him. And I'm excited to see what else he can do. And I'm excited to see what Xabi Alonso will do when Jude comes back. My next point, my first point actually was Carreras. And then in brackets, I have fullbacks because I think it was a great performance from both of them.
Yeah.
And that clearance off the line, unbelievable.
Yeah, this is I think the first thing I spoke about before you joined.
Ah,
The fullbacks in general. I
Yeah.
mean, we're pretty blessed. And I think this was Trent's best game, but Carreras looks fantastic right now.
great.
And I think look, this is kind of it's a bit of a roller coaster to start if you ask me. Because I don't think any player has been perfect. We kind of see the ebbs and flows of trying to get into rhythm. I would say Carrera struggled defensively in the second half against Oviedo. The overall larger picture is that he looks really solid as a two-way wingback who's composed, who makes intelligent decisions. Trent, he's slowly getting better to the Trent that we're used to seeing at Liverpool. And Mastantuono was the one that we haven't really spoken about yet. What was your assessment before I say anything? I'm curious to know. Like you guys are a Mastantuono household. You watched him a lot at River Plate. So what has your assessment been so far of Mastantuono?
He's actually my number 2 point. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's raw in the sense that like he obviously makes some mistakes. He gives up possessions easily, often, but I think those are just things like that come with being a young, barely 18-year-old player that's moving from Argentina to the biggest, most popular club in the world and starting on 2 occasions. Like I just think that's like rust that he's shaking off. And then he's a palette for Xabi Alonso to kind of like just mold into whatever player he wants to be. And I think on several occasions, he's just in the right place at the right time. He's hungry. He's looking, his head's up always. Like he doesn't stop. And especially on the handball goal, he's just always active in the play. And I think that's really important. I mean, we've seen debuts from Luka Jovic and other players that have experience playing in Europe, and it's nowhere near the same. And so I think that, I think it's very telling that he's starting consistently. I think he must obviously work hard and train well too. So I have no complaints. I'm not mad at the fact that he is raw, in the sense that, he's not his best. He's not as good as he could be. He makes mistakes. He, gives up possession. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah. You brought up a lot of good points. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I think if I had to say like what I like about him so far and what I think he needs to improve on, um, I'm not gonna nitpick like if he like misplaces a pass, like he had a couple passes today where he needed to be a bit sharper and more accurate, and he killed a transition attack. Things like this, things like that, I think have more to do with, as you said, pressure. Like I mean, to put things into perspective, his start today, he was the youngest starter of a Real Madrid player at the Bernabeu in the 21st century. And I'm just going to read it verbatim from op-eds just to make sure I get it right. At 18 years and 16 days old, Franco Mastantuono has become the youngest player to start a La Liga match for Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu in the 21st century. You think about that's how old Vini was in his first season at Real Madrid. You know, he had just joined after his 18th birthday. And I just remember that first season of Vinicius is one of the coolest things I remember witnessing. And that's why I always like refer to him as like one of us, because he that season was such a season to forget, 2018, 2019. But I will always remember it as the season where Vinicius gave everybody hell.
Mhm.
And everyone like who played against him was trying to like tread water against this young left wing 18-year-old winger who would just cook people and then miss chances. That's what he was doing at that age. And so that's called being raw. And that's what Mastantuono is like. So polishing those things will come with experience and age, just like Vinicius eventually became a pretty lethal scorer. Here are the good things that I've seen. He's very active. He's clearly talented. He takes players on. He's fearless. Um, Obviously, his best action today was that shoulder drop right before Güler's goal, and that was a nice passage of play because the team had really nice, tidy build up. Mbappe uh, and I think it was Trent on at that time. Still, they were having some nice, you know, passes into the right. Fede was getting involved. They find Mastantuono. Mastantuono cuts right, nearly scores. That's the Güler handball disallowed goal. Some of the things that I think, and this seems pretty accurate as well when we were doing the scouting report on Mastantuono. I don't know if he just like lacks a bit of explosiveness, if that makes sense, or speed. Um, like he doesn't strike me as like traditional right winger who's going to just blitz down the wing. So he's just a little bit different. And I think sometimes there was like times where like he could have went to his right foot and he didn't because he was so reliant on the left foot, and the play just stopped. The play died because he wasn't quick enough to get it on his right to get a shot off. Obviously, he finally did that in the second half and nearly scored. So those are the things. I just like I think he's missing a little burst of explosiveness or speed on the wing when he takes players on. But some of that stuff I hope will just come with time.
I also think traditionally, Diego's here, so he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think his organic position is an attacking midfielder, right?
Yeah.
I think he was evolving.
And he evolved eventually just before his move into more of a right winger. But I feel like Argentinian football is a little bit slower and more physical in general. So that could just be like a evolution of, again, he's 18. So I really think that because he is so raw, like his position and his skills can really be honed dependent on where in the system Xabi wants him to play. Maybe he is a little more dynamic and a little like his pace wouldn't matter as much if he played a little more centrally, but it's also the second game in the season or third, second,
yeah,
third. And yeah, I'm sure that Xabi Alonso is not finished experimenting with everyone. So
yeah. But the other thing I wanted to say, which I think is an interesting talking point, the way, like I've said this the last couple of days. So if you haven't been tuning into the podcast, apologies, or apologies if you've already heard me say this. I think the way it's laid out now is that we have two for each attacking position, and it's defined with their roles. The left wing is Vinicius and Rodrigo. The middle is Mbappe and Gonzalo Garcia, and the right wing is Mastantuono and Brahim. And those are the profiles. That's how he's differentiated the three profiles. So I actually think if you were to ask me, like, who is the better, more established, and more effective right winger right now, it's Rodrigo. Like, it would make sense that Rodrigo gets that role, but I think the way Xabi has it laid out now, he wants Mastantuono and Brahim on the right, and then Vini and Rodrigo on the left. It adds up the way he's been doing these rotations and these subs. So I think that's what's going to happen. Bar, injuries and obviously exceptions to the rule. If someone gets injured and Rodrigo has to go right, or Jude comes back, then the formation shifts. That's different. But yeah, let's take a few more super chats. Saha Shayan says we should go back to 3-5-2 against Liverpool and City. Can't play 4-3-3 against them. Also, Arda needs to improve his passing.
I think it's kind of the same thing. Like, I don't necessarily think we can be, I mean, a little more so than Mastantuono, obviously, but I don't necessarily think we can be as hard as we are on Arda either, because you also have to remember that this is his first season being like a undoubted starter as well. So, well, yes, I agree in some circumstances. I think he's part of a profile that we've lacked in the past, whether he's playing on the right or in midfield. So I think he'll just also get better, like I said before.
Liverpool is in November. Manchester City is in December. It's so far away. It's hard to answer that question now.
Mhm.
But I would be pretty surprised if we still had the 4-3-3 when Jude comes back. It's just obvious to me because Jude is not a 4-3-3 type player. He just is not.
Yeah.
And he has to start because he's Jude fucking Bellingham. He's not going to play on the right wing. He's not going to. I don't think if you put him in midfield, it means you have to bench Tchouaméni or Fede.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Unless I mean, okay. So I'm gonna backtrack. I guess the only way for that to happen is if Jude benches Arda, and then you get a 4-3-3 with Tchouaméni and Fede and Jude, and then you have Vini, Mbappe, and Mastantuono probably on the right side. So I guess it's possible, but I would be surprised if we were still playing 4-3-3 at that time. My prediction is that Güler and Bellingham will play together.
I agree, and I also think that Carreras and Trent are made for a 3-5-2 system. Like, they're meant to be wing backs and not fullbacks, in my opinion. But
Also the 3-5-2 is literally it's a snap of the fingers. That's it. It's not on paper. Like, you don't need to plan for it ahead of time necessarily. You can start with the 3-5-2 and shift between 4-4-2, 3-5-2 within the game easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the beauty of Tchouaméni, is Tchouaméni can literally organize that himself.
Yeah.
And that's where I don't think Camavinga can do that. So I don't know if we do 3-5-2 if Camavinga has to play that role, for example. Another thing to consider, I think 3-5-2 is pretty contingent on Tchouaméni.
Yes.
Nishlish Patel says, can we push the heat up on the bad refereeing? JK, take the win and move on. Well, look, I didn't give you a chance to speak about the refereeing, so you go ahead.
I mean, what is there really to say? This is an almost like inevitable thing that happens every single game now. Gone are the days where there's good refereeing. I mean, I don't really. The second goal that was disallowed was offside. At first glance, it looked onside based on the lines on the pitch, but it was offside. The first goal, I mean, like, to be fair, if you're VARing it, I get. But even then, no. The first goal was like nonsense. And then I'm just confused at what the handball rule is at this point.
Yeah.
Because I've seen goals be given, I've seen goals be disallowed. I do understand that it's in like a goal scoring opportunity, but even then, what is he meant to do in that circumstance? Like, he's not in a natural position. I don't know. I just think even beyond the goals.
That's my so I said I was pretty lenient on the refereeing despite us having 3 goals disallowed on VAR. But I will say, like, I'm pretty adamant on this. Like, if it hits your hand and there's nothing you can do about it, especially in Arda's case where he was literally hugging himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it couldn't be closer to his body even if you tried.
Hmm.
You should not punish players for that.
Yeah.
That needs to be put in the rules.
Agreed.
That's my
Or
opinion.
We're just consistent. Like there were situations literally last weekend where goals were allowed in those circumstances. So either the rule is a rule and there's consistency with refereeing, or the rules changed. I don't know.
I don't remember who it was against, but Kamavinga was called for it last year and we gave up a penalty. There's nothing he could have done
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. I also think though, beyond the goals, like it was just kind of scandalous in a lot of situations. There were a lot of fouls. I think Mastantuono was fouled at least, enough times that I could count on one hand. I don't even know if there was ever a whistle at all for any of those fouls.
I don't know. Mastantuono has some kind of art where he gets fouled and then it doesn't get called for a foul. This has been
Yeah.
like every game now. He gets fouled and he just doesn't get called for it. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what it is. He has some kind of spell on the referee. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the first offside was just, I guess VAR is VAR, and VAR is an automated system that does the lines and says yes or no. But at what point are you like, in what world is that giving anyone an advantage or disadvantage? It's just ridiculous at this point. A hair follicle is wild.
It was a vein. It was
Literally
a vein.
a vein in his forehead.
Mr. Sushi 2221 says, "What's up with everyone hating Ceballos? Everyone was crying when he got hurt last year. Why can't people just understand he's a really good player?" I'd like to say something.
Okay, say.
I have no issue with Ceballos the footballer. Don't get it twisted. If I complain about Ceballos, it has nothing to do with his footballing abilities. He's a really good squad player to have. No issue with it. I take issue with this specific thing. Every single year, there's some kind of noise about him leaving.
Hmm.
And it's usually because of him. It's not a fabricated thing. He literally went on social media and said the last dance after playing 5 minutes against Oviedo.
Yeah.
Unnecessary drama.
Yeah.
Especially when, if you want to, like, someone brought up this like counterpoint to me the other day and said, well, how else is he supposed to leave if he needs to do it publicly to push himself out. He can't do it privately. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's not even accepting the demands to leave. He says publicly he's leaving. Marseille president comes out, we gave up. Real Madrid acted with class. Dude doesn't budge on his demands. He's not going to accept lowering his salary demands for Real Betis, the club he loves as well. Like, if the most likely situation is you're going to stay, just don't create this public thing. Just zip it.
Yeah. Yep. I also agree. I have no issues. I actually like Ceballos as a footballer. I think last year he really proved what kind of squad player he was. But you very well said. Agreed.
Mace Rook says, "Are you worried about the defense, Kiyan? I mean, in the long run into the season." I'm always worried about Real Madrid's defense. Every year. So the answer to this question is yes. Is it? But I would say it's much better than last year already.
Yeah, I'm not concerned. I think that we have depth now, at least to an extent. And I think we might have talked about this last week or we didn't, but what I had said was Leverkusen, Xabi Alonso really focused on restructuring the defense and then moved to the offense. And so I think we're seeing a lot of that restructure. I think there's already a lot. The first goal actually is a really great example of that. Just the way that they're set up on set pieces and in like I see much more football IQ. Like players have positions, they have roles, they have instructions. Whereas I feel like previously it was more of like you know what you have to do, but here are the, do whatever you need to do to get there kind of thing. So the fact that like Housen was on the back post, ready to head that ball back, Arda made that run, even the fact that Carreras was there on the right side after the corner to receive that pass to ping it in. I think just the structure already that we're seeing in general, but defensively specifically, is completely different than last season.
How many times has Thibaut Courtois been called into action in these first 3 games?
More than last season. Is that a rhetorical question?
You think he's been called into action more this season?
Well, a year. No. Yeah.
What I'm
No.
saying is that we haven't had to rely on Courtois much in these first 3 games.
Okay. Yes. Okay. In the sense of like, yes, actually, yes. Yeah. There's been no Courtois 3 minutes. What a save. I agree with that.
He's
Yeah,
had to mostly like these again, like going back to what we were saying earlier. The second halves haven't been closed very strongly. I think he's been come into action in those moments more,
yes,
but not
it's been more
much.
balanced.
Yeah. I think overall, like the structure, look, it's Real Madrid is always going to be conceding goals. Like even in 2016, 2017, our defense had issues, and that was probably our best team ever.
Yeah.
Like there's always going to be issues defensively, but the way Xabi is trying to minimize it is again to do it to win it high up the pitch. And this goes back to in the second half. Part of the reason why we are conceding more chances in the second half is because we're just not we're not dialing up the pressure as much because we look tired.
Mhm.
And so we stop winning the ball in those situations and we concede more chances. And that's what needs to get fixed. And I think that's what's next in terms of getting fixed. If you look at this kind of basically backs up what we're saying. I'm going to share my screen here for a second. SofaScore has this thing called attacking momentum, which I love to check. Real Madrid is the green bars. Mallorca are the blue bars. Big chunk in the second half where it was all Mallorca carving through. And I think this is where falls in line with the Carreras goal line save, the Trent intervention, and a couple others. This is the period I think Xabi Alonso needs to figure out how to gain control. First half was largely good. And I think that needs to improve. And I assume that improves with fitness. And it's, part of the reason why he's trying to rotate and also introduce subs, all his subs early on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say that too. I think that's more related to fitness than anything else. I think they're just literally not used to pressing as much and as consistently. And also I'd like to say off of substitutions that I think it's very impressive, I guess, for lack of a better word. It's a good sign. I enjoy very much that he has the balls to, regardless, rotate, sub off Mbappe, sub off Vini, sub off, the big boys, the ones that Carlo would never.
We do have super chats racking up, but I wanted to talk more about the game because some of these super chats are not about the game. Mbappe didn't scored 2 offside goals. I was looking at the numbers because to me the eye test on Mbappe today was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Very active. 5 shots, 7 key passes. His link up play was fantastic today. I liked what I saw.
Yeah, I think that one of our biggest complaints last week was that he wasn't really making good runs. Him and Vini or him and Rodrigo were literally hugging each other on the left. It was more balanced today, which is also why we got more opportunities and 2 goals out of him.
Yeah. Again, my criticism of him this week would be, please just stay on side. And I think the thing is with him, he's so fast that if there's any player who can kind of afford to hang his run back just a little bit, it's him. Because he can catch up to the ball.
Yeah.
just October 26th Clasico. I don't want 6 offsides in the first half, please.
PTSD from last year.
So, Ed Sylvester says, unrelated, what do you think about Lunen's potential? Can he be better than Courtois since he's better with his feet? Also, Carreras has been the best signing so far.
I'm undetermined about Lunin because I think that he's obviously great as a sub. But the thing about substitution goalkeepers is that they don't really get their chance to shine. Like, gone are the days where, generally speaking, goalkeepers are rotated for cup and league campaigns. It's usually, from what we've seen anyways, at Real Madrid, it's usually the same goalkeeper throughout, unless there's an injury somewhere. Or unless they're doing like hardcore rotations for one match in order to rest the other ones for an important upcoming match. So for that reason, I think that Lunin, unfortunately for us, is so good and has so much potential that I obviously don't want him to leave, but I'd almost like to see him go elsewhere so that he can start, because I think obviously he has that potential. As long as Courtois is fit and healthy, I don't ever think that will change. I think Courtois is too good, and I don't ever see that. Yeah,
I mean, he's being asked to have the ball at his feet more now too,
Mm-hmm.
and he's looked good. I think it's funny because one of the criticisms we've had of Courtois when we first signed him years ago was that he seems to be an excellent shot stopper, but under pressure, he's not the most press-resistant goalkeeper, and his ball distribution is not that great. But I think he's improved so much with that year to year, and it's rare to see a goalkeeper improve on that one aspect so late in his career.
Mm-hmm.
And this season, he's been asked to be more composed with the ball and pass it out and distribute rather than hoofing it. And I think he's raised the call. He's done well. With Lunin, look, the thing is, being Real Madrid's goalkeeper is the hardest. Backup goalkeeper is the hardest position to fill.
Yeah.
You need someone who is going to be good and when he's called upon, like ready to go, but at the same time comfortable with like basically never playing because you're the backup to the best goalkeeper in the world.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I thought Xabi Alonso had an interesting quote. He says in the second half, he was talking about the second half problems and what he was trying to relate to the team in the cooling break in the second half. He says, we had to adjust the pressure and the second ball better. We were too far away from the players. We weren't tight enough, and they recovered and turned. Mallorca recovered and turned, and we weren't able to smother them, which is what we were planning to do. So again, I think this goes back to like the plan is not to ease off the pressure. I think one of the things that's happened in the Oviedo game and this game was that the opponent decided in the second half to bring their line a little bit higher and push through. And we're too good to not have answers for that. We need to figure that out. We have to like basically expect that. If we're going into halftime leading, we have to expect the opponent's going to come out a little bit, and we can't let that derail our plan. That needs to be improved.
Yeah.
All right, where are we at? Carlos Cooks Cheese says, I want Arda to progress, but hate the idea of Fede not being on the pitch in an attacking position. Fede Valverde segment. Let's do it. I actually liked Fede today. I did.
Same.
I think the criticism is harsh if there are criticisms of him. I think second half he wasn't as good. No one was as good in the second half. I thought if you look at the clear progression of Fede Valverde, first game facing a low block, not that involved. Had as you and I have discussed to death, a crucial defensive intervention that's actually saved the game at the end. Second game against Oviedo actually was very involved. He was starting to carry the ball through the lines more. He was getting in attacking positions. Today, his off-ball runs in the right half space were giving Mallorca hell. Like they couldn't deal with his off-ball runs there. He was very involved. I liked his performance up until halftime anyway. I'm not worried about Fede.
Same. It's the same thing that we mentioned last week. I just think people are they don't see goals. They don't see his crazy long shots. They don't see him like running around like a headless chicken for 90 minutes. That now he's lacking or out of form or in a, not having a good game. I think simply his role is just different. I think he has more support around him where he doesn't have to do all these things and, cover for 7 different other people. And yeah, I think that the same as we mentioned, a lot of people just don't automatically recognize the off the ball runs, the off the ball like football IQ, the movement, and how that is involved in a player's performance rather than just goals and assists.
Preaching to the choir, my friend. Drives me nuts, but we got to move, and this is why we're here to give that analysis that other people won't see. Sushi23 says 10-minute cooling break for Kiyan. I'm not important enough to get a cooling break. I just have to push through. Who are we talking about here? Mr. Sushi. Is there 2 sushis in the chat? Is it the same person? I don't know.
Same sushi.
Mr. Sushi says, to be fair to him, he's been at the club for ages and never been a starter, bar like 6 months. Fair criticisms, though. Talking about Twitter people. I can't remember.
Email?
Oh, this is about Ceballos, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
Thank you for the super chat, Saba. You're awesome. Mr. Sushi also says, how the fuck did we manage to have that B team in 2016, 2017?
Yeah, insane. But gone are those days. But maybe they'll come back. You never know.
You never know. Okay, so I don't know how many of the points that you had that we actually went through. Like, what did we miss?
Most of them. Mbappe and Vini both were on my list. I know that we talked a little bit about Mbappe and how he just, again, looked more explosive, more involved. Vini, though, looked much more confident. He looked happy. He was confident. He looked more like himself. He's back, like I said.
I can't stress enough how much the team's chances of silverware this season increases if we get the best version of Vinicius.
Facts.
We're not talking about like the best version of X player. We're talking about the best version of the best player in the world a year ago.
Facts.
The rightful Ballon d'Or winner. There's no one stopping that dude. Nobody.
Yeah.
If we get that version, because we've never had Vini and Mbappe coinciding together with their form at their best. This is like we're starting to ramp up towards that, which really excites me if we get there.
Because can you imagine the best version of Vini and the best version of Mbappe and the best version of Jude and the best version of everyone else? Crazy.
I can't wait for Jude to come back.
I know. Where do you think he fits in? What's his role going to be? We talked about it a little bit, but
it's pretty straightforward to me, but so much can change in football, and Xabi Alonso might come to a different conclusion in 2 months or whatever. I think to me, it's as straightforward as Tchouaméni, Fede, Arda, Jude, Vini, Mbappe.
Yeah.
That's why I'm skeptical that it will continue with the 4-3-3.
I agree. Well, it's only like a month and a half away.
Ed Sylvester says, who knew benching Vini for 65 minutes works? Smirk.
Now, this is what I'm saying. It's so, well, okay. I'm speaking like I'm a manager in European football, but to me, to outsiders, it's so simple. And we literally had this conversation last year where sometimes competition is good. Sometimes being pissed off is good. Like adding that friendly little competition where you have to fight for your role and you have the understanding that no one is cemented in a role at Real Madrid, in the club, whatever. That adds a little fire under your ass. And obviously, Tchouaméni got booed and whistled, and now look at him. Vini got benched literally for half a game, and now.
I don't think it was rotation.
For sure. Yeah, I agree.
I've said it after the game. I still say that now, especially after reading what Xabi had said. I know a lot of people will call it rotation. I think Trent and Carvajal, that's rotation.
Yeah.
You don't see Mbappe getting rotated. We don't see Too many getting rotated. We don't see Carreras getting rotated with Fran Garcia.
Yeah.
If Xabi feels like he needs to find something, he's going to bench somebody. That's what happened that game. And by the
Well-
way, he was right. It worked.
Period. And also, just Vinny's demeanor in the last match against Oviedo. Like, he was not happy. He was pissed. Whereas, like, Carvajal's coming back from injury.
I know what you mean. It might get interpreted wrongly. You mean in a good way.
Yeah.
Pissed in a good way.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, it's just clear the conversation that was had or, like, the reasonings behind it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I agree.
All right. So I have a few more thoughts on this game that I think are super important. The thing that I think is most important is this. Every time we go to Moji Mates, that's moji-mates.com, moji-mates.com. There's new stuff.
Facts.
Were you expecting this? We got new colors, like we got pink now, purple.
Fun.
Look at the Cristiano Ronaldo noodle hair 7 with the Champions League stars circling him. We got the C celebration. So much good stuff.
So much.
Like insane. Guys, please go to moji-mates.com. Get the best swag. You just go league, drop down La Liga, Real Madrid, and you get it all. And if you want, you can just search. Like you can literally just search Di Stefano, and Di Stefano stuff will be there. It's pretty amazing. Go to moji-mates.com.
It's a great segue. Well
yes.
done.
Who did we not talk about? I mean, I think Carvajal looked solid when he came in. I thought him and Brahim brought some good energy on that right side. We regained some semblance of control towards the very end. Tchouaméni was great again.
Housen?
You mean?
Wait, should I say Hyson?
What? The one that blew my mind is that at the end of the half, Stuart Robson started to call him Hussein. Twice he called him Hussein. Like what? Hussein?
He has 7 different names. At least Mastantuono is now Mastantuono and not Mastantuono.
Yeah, that's upgraded.
Yeah.
Look like
Chikorito was the worst though, Kiyan. Chikorito was.
I don't
my
remember
favorite.
Chikorito. That was before my time. We had Ceballos at one point. Oh man, we've had so many that I can't remember right now. But Hussein has got to be like top tier. Like that's wildly incorrect. Wildly incorrect.
I was saying to these guys that Bournemouth last year did like a promo video of like how each player pronounces their name. So it's not hard to like just Google how to pronounce and then say it.
It's hard to say. It's kind of your job to pronounce the names properly.
Who say
Like as soon as we signed Housen, I googled it. I needed to know. Like we got to do a good job. We can't just. When I read it initially without hearing it, I thought it was Hoysen.
Yeah.
Which commentators are still saying. So you obviously you're in Canada, so you know the first 10 minutes of this game we had Phil Kittro on commentary by accident because we picked up the La Liga feed and then it switched over to ESPN after 10 minutes. Phil was the first 10 minutes was just knocking it out of the park. It was so nice here. And I even texted him. I was like, man, that was the best 10 minutes ever. That was great.
Then we're back to Hyson. And then Hussein. Crazy.
Oh yeah, thoughts on Hussein. I think the last couple games he hasn't been at his best.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there were moments where also like he had just some beautiful verticality, the way he pinged those passes. But I think defensively he looked a little bit leg heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought between the two of them, Militao was better.
Mm-hmm.
Militao has been very good, by the way.
I'm very surprised, actually, and very impressed about him. I wasn't sure. Thought for sure going into another thing that we talked about many times, but going into the season, I was almost positive. I could have bet money on it that it would have been Rudiger and Hussein. Rudiger and Hussein, without a doubt. Just because of Militao's form, his health, his fitness, 2 ACLs on opposite knees is.
It's pretty amazing that he's come back at this level.
So I digress. I'm impressed. May it continue.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of who we did not speak of yet. I think we got through everybody individually.
Rodrigo in his 2 minutes.
Not enough time. Gonzalo Garcia playing like 4 minutes.
Yeah, weird.
What happened to him?
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating. I'm being a little bit silly because I really love the kid. I thought he was going to be more prominent.
Well, especially against, again, a low block. To be fair, though, it was a different game than what we've seen. I feel like La Liga is just La Liga in that sense. It's going to be low block always, park the bus always. But I do feel like we were able to break that down a little bit more than we were before in the last 2 matches. Like, we had many more chances. In theory, it should have been 5-0 or 5-1. That's better than a 1-0. So I think that is an improvement in and of itself. So maybe it didn't necessarily call for like a super aerial presence or a target man like that, but
I think with GG is that he can do so much though. Like he can be a target, but he's really tidy in tight spaces. He works really hard. His pressing is great. He's really good at link up play, hold up play. Here's the XG 1.84, which is in some way a little bit undershot here and deceiving because none of our offside goals counted on the XG chart. So those don't even get added to it. Obviously, we factored in the danger we created through those situations. Then it would be a little bit higher, but it's not. Mbappe missed a big chance in the 42nd minute. You remember that one? That was, I think, Vini plays a really nice pass. I just remembered. Vini plays a really nice pass to Güler in the left half space. Güler actually could have cut it back to Mbappe, but shot it. It's saved. It bounces back to Mbappe.
Yeah.
This is Güler's goal. This is Vini's goal. And, I mentioned that Mbappe had 7 key passes, so you kind of go through it. Mbappe set up Güler here. He set up House in here. And I think the rest of them may have been outside the box. So yeah, Brahim here, etc. So
I want to talk about Vini's goal actually for a second because I was upset for 5 seconds, like 0.5 seconds, because
Vini's
I
goal.
thought,
yeah.
I thought he just had done too much again. But I'm happy ultimately that he did do too much because that is like in a nutshell what kind of player Vini is.
Yeah.
Because Mbappe was making that run to his left. And I thought he should have passed it the first time he had cut inside. And then he cut back to the left and took the shot on his left. And yeah, I was going to be upset had that not gone in. But ultimately I'm happy that it did because I'm happy he's not sacrificing some of his like flair.
I have a rule with this. I think superstars are allowed to make quote unquote bad decisions.
For sure.
Because they can just do things no one else can do. Like it's the equivalent for me to, if I were to put it in layman terms, if I can, if Steph Curry takes a contested 3 from deep, that's a good shot for him. Like that's a good shot. It's a terrible shot for everybody else, but for him, you have to give him, and he missed it. And if he misses, we can't say it was a bad shot. Like no, like he's allowed to miss those and take those because he can.
Yeah.
So I kind of like have that rule with players like Vini and Mbappe too. Like if they see things, they have a certain vision and they go for it. I think they should be allowed to because that's why they're superstars.
Yeah.
Superstars don't have the same rules as other people, if you ask me. If they do, then football becomes boring.
Unless you're Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United in his second stint.
What do you mean?
Just kidding. He like scored all of their goals, saved them in the Champions League, but didn't press. So United fans hated him. And Ten Hag like benched him.
Yeah, we saw how that worked out.
Yeah, right?
Okay. What did we miss? Anything else? Is there any more super chats, guys? If you're gonna throw any super chats our way, now is the time because we're gonna wrap it up in probably 45 seconds. You got anything else, Leah?
No, I think that's. Oh, he wants me to mention Ancelotti. We had this conversation actually during the
Who?
match.
Diego?
No, my friend Amir, he's a Real Madrid
Oh,
fan also,
okay.
and he's a Xabi Alonso hater, actually, ironically.
Oof.
Yeah.
I don't deal well with those people, but because he's your friend, we can allow it.
No, but basically he was saying that people were too hard on Ancelotti because he didn't get the players that he needed. He was playing everyone out of position and like doing the best with what he had. And it actually had us thinking and talking about the fact that it's kind of true. I am a Xabi Alonso lover. Let's make that clear. But it's kind of true in the sense that like as soon as he left, Xabi Alonso was able to bring in all of these people that Ancelotti was probably like begging for seasons.
Sure.
You know, especially with all of the injuries, it was just chaos for him, and he was playing all these players in all different positions. And then, so he thinks he was unjust in his departure, but he's an anomaly. We don't agree with him.
No, I mean he's not wrong to point that out. I think the thing is like, first of all, anyone now who is a Xabi Alonso hater is not a Real Madrid fan.
I'm not a hater. Just haven't seen enough from him yet.
Hasn't seen enough.
That's fine. You're not a hater. There are people who actually hate the guy. Which is like at this point, whether you're the biggest Ancelotti fan ever or not, if you're a Real Madrid fan, you want Xabi Alonso to succeed, right?
Yeah.
I think it's fair to point out that Ancelotti, first of all, had devastating ACL injury after devastating ACL injury after devastating ACL injury. In his words, unprecedented in my football career. Not just in his career, like in general, like it's unprecedented. Carvajal, best right back in the world before he went down. It's not easy to just recover from that. We had like no defenders. We had no wing backs. Now Xabi Alonso has like 5 wing backs he can choose from. Carlo never had that last year.
Yeah.
I think the criticism of Carlo would be that there were certain things I think were clearly not working last season that he insisted on. I think the insistence of playing Vini and Mbappe Rodrigo together really hurt our offensive line and our balance. And I think putting Vasquez at right back, the other options were he should have probably put Fede there and looked at some of the younger players to fill that role, because Vasquez was literally a net negative every single game. And I think there were things that, and I think with Carlo, like he's probably my favorite manager ever. But cycles eventually come to an end. And I think it was time to just refresh the team and just bring in new ideas. That's where I stand on it.
Period.
Yeah.
Well, like the only question I have right now, just like we're back to the 4-3-3 again.
Did you hear? When Jude comes back, it'll be a 3-5-2. Fingers crossed. I just think it's growing pains. Like I don't see the Club World Cup as a thing that we should be judging the season on, or the performance of Xabi Alonso thus far, or even our players thus far. I think it's like very unorthodox circumstances, the dead of summer in the US, like playing at 12 p.m. in like the blistering heat. There's so many different factors, jet lag, travel, like everything. These players are playing together for the first time. I don't see that as like a reason to judge the performance of anyone for the season. I think now, like the first season to now, they've actually had a chance to train all together in their facilities with their staff. I think now is when we should start like judging, I guess, for lack of a better word, what Xabi Alonso brings and all these signings bring to the table. And I think it's just growing pains. Like, I think it's just transitional.
How many games are we in?
3.
9. Well, 9, including Club World Cup. 9 games, 8 wins.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that he said, good point. I think that we've already seen an improvement in a lot of these players that have been playing under Ancelotti for several years, just in a different system. How many times did you and I say, oh my gosh, Tchouaméni is obviously best suited as a DM or a deep lying playmaker? How many times did we say Arda Güler is best suited in XYZ role, or Fede, or like, for the love of God, let Vini or Mbappe or Rodrigo play in this position? And like, we're actually seeing some of that movement and some of that versatility. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? So yeah, I think if we have this conversation again in 6 months, it'll be completely different.
Yeah. International break coming up now. I was just going over my notes, Leah, and I found one thing that I really forgot I wanted to discuss. If you guys live in Toronto, you head on over to tacsports.ca because TAFC Academy is hands down the best academy in all of Toronto. So if you want to sign up your kids to an academy, you want to go to tacsports.ca. Toronto Athletic FC Academy. Indoor season is coming up, all ages. They got house league, recreational. They got the entire academy. They have competitive levels all the way from U6 to U17. They got exciting sponsorship opportunities. Also coming up, fall aquatics, tennis, volleyball, basketball lessons. Your kids can build confidence and skills in a safe and fun environment. It's perfect for developing skills, teamwork, and fitness. And at the core of everything that TAFC Academy does, helping kids grow in sports, confidence, and leadership in a supportive community. Please head on over to tacsports.ca. So register your children if you're in Toronto. All right,
Period.
Leah, now is the time. Anything else before we put a bow on this one?
Besides like, commenting, and subscribing, I was trying one of your transitions. No, I'm just excited. I think 3 games, 3 wins, 9 points. I'm not mad at anything that I've seen. I'm not I haven't felt what I felt after matches last season once yet this season. So in my books, that's a plus. That's a positive.
100%. Guys, yeah, please, I always forget to do it. Please like and subscribe. If you're on the stream right now, if you're watching now, just hit like. It's the easiest thing to do. It doesn't take any effort on your end, and it helps the channel. Like and subscribe. And international break coming up will be active for our members. If you want to get access to the international break content, so you're not deprived on the channel, go to patreon.com/managing Madrid. Alternatively, if you do not have Patreon in your country, we also have YouTube memberships opened up, so you can hit the memberships tab on this YouTube channel. Okay.
I have one more thing to say before we go.
For it.
Sorry, I'm reading the comments and it actually brought up a really good talking point about defense. People are criticizing the defense a little bit, that we're shaky, weak. 2 clean sheets, 1 goal conceded. That, to me, that's a huge improvement. Are you kidding?
Yeah. You know what's crazy? So Sam Leverage, our writer, pointed this out. He jinxed it, unfortunately. He said it before the game. He said, if Real Madrid keep a clean sheet tonight and win, it's like the first time that's happened since like 1950 something.
Yeah.
It just is a mind-blowing stat on its own. 1957.
That's crazy. But
Which
like,
is crazy. Like how a team of Real Madrid standard has never won their first 3 games with 3 clean sheets in a row since 1957. That's unbelievable.
I just think that's one of those things, though, that goes unnoticed. Like, especially with the Club World Cup in between. I think from last season to this season, there's already a huge improvement. Depth aside, like, we're able to take people off that have tired legs or that are feeling, any kind of injury throughout the match, any knocks, whatever. Conceding less clean sheets. I mean, and you said it with Courtois not being nearly as active. I think the mistakes that are being made are part of just understanding a new manager, a new system, new players together, etc.
After 3 games, do you want to take a guess of what our XGA is?
2.36.
Expected goals against?
Oh, against.
Yeah. Oh, expected goals for it's 5.09.
But even that is insane.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like last year we were winning games by 1 goal. I mean, obviously we won today by 1 goal, but still, like 1 goal and XGs of like 1.9.
Yeah.
You know, we were just barely getting by. 0.43.
Oh, that's really low. It's 1.09.
Oh well.
But that's the only team that has been better has been Villarreal, who have played 1 game less and their XGA is 1. So it will be, I think we'll be comfortably first in that aspect by the end of the match day. So it's been fine. Like again, like we haven't had to call on Courtois that much in the first 3 games, which is very rare, very rare. Yeah, awesome, guys. Thank you for tuning in and spending some time with us on YouTube. Thank you for listening, Leah. Thank you for your time.
Guys.
Go and hang out with your friends. Appreciate it. It was great chatting.
Likewise.
Thanks, guys. Like and
Appreciate it.
subscribe. Hala Madrid. Peace out.